I'm Gerry Walker, and we're still here, bitch. Hey, and welcome to Still Here, Bitch. Can you believe we're already on our 7th monthly episode? Well, we couldn't do it without you. Thank you so much for tuning in and subscribing. I want to ask that you follow me on YouTube and TikTok. My handle over there is @WouldBeTherapy. And please also check out the Still Here Bitch podcast YouTube channel. You'll get to hear all the episodes, plus witness my uncensored thoughts about humans and relationships. Go on over there and check me out. Thank you. Well, today is special. It's the holidays. You know, Still Here Bitch prides itself on addressing LGBTQ relationships from many angles, not just the typical ones. And today is no different. Welcome to the beauty episode. My guest today is Lashelle Ullie, Beverly Hills esthetician to the stars. Lashelle advocates for an integrated care approach to holistic wellness that combines conventional and complementary treatment strategies for optimal health. Specializing in men's skin health and assisting individuals living with cancer, Lashelle connects clients with various integrated health and wellness practices beyond skin treatment. He believes that this systematic approach can help clients address the root causes affecting their overall health and well-being. Lashelle is building a network of health professionals from different therapeutic modalities to collaborate on improving clients' quality of life. Everyone, I give you Lashelle Ullie. Hey, Lashelle.
Hey.
Welcome to Still Here, bitch.
Well, thank you for having me. And it's so funny, I actually had to put my head down to hear you read that out and take that all in, right?
How did it feel?
It felt good. I felt like a grown-up. I said, who, me? Oh,
it's
yeah,
you,
it's
honey.
me.
It's you.
That is me. I'm so glad to be here, Gerry.
Oh,
thank
I'm
you
so
for
happy to
having
have
me.
you here.
I'm so excited. I'm excited.
Okay, so much to dive into.
Okay.
Let's figure it all out. So, Lashelle, first for our audience, how do you identify on the LGBTQ spectrum?
Oh, I'm all gay. I'm completely gay.
All
I'm male, gay, love men, absolutely love them.
Okay, and how do you identify on the age spectrum?
I'm 48 years old.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
I know, right? Your producer just gave me a look. You gave me a look because
That's that skincare.
It's the skincare, man, since 14 years old, and great genetics too.
Okay. 14 years old.
Yeah.
Let's jump in.
Yep.
How did your career in beauty begin?
When I was playing with Barbie dolls at the age 10 and removing makeup with nail polish remover. Let's be clear.
Okay.
It started then. Like, I had a grandmother who was like, leave him alone, let him play with the dolls. And I just love beauty. But the actual work started when I was about 17 years old. I had just graduated high school. I didn't get into the college. Well, grandmother did not know how to get me to the college I wanted to go to. I was accepted to. And I got a job, at the makeup counters.
Oh, okay.
At Macy's, I worked for Estee Lauder, and I was their stock guy. I was a stock guy, and I hated it. I hated it so much. And I said, I want to do makeup. Because I was going to go to school for designing, fashion design, because that's what I been doing most of my childhood life. And one of the girls at the counter was like, let him do the makeup. And so on her lunch break, she says, let me see what you can do. And she saw, not only could I do makeup, but I was able to pull someone, just a woman walking by without a problem, which is pretty hard to do for a lot of people. But for me, it's not a problem.
Yeah.
And she was like, less was on the makeup, which was very good, but it was more about, I cannot believe this 17-year-old boy just pulled this woman like that. The rest, as they say, is his story.
Okay. So I always send my guests a list of questions. And I've already resolved that Lashelle and I are going to get to like 3 of them.
Yeah.
Because you have already brought up something that I want to learn more about. Still Here Bitch is a relationship show, and relationships run the gamut from, you know, partner to partner to family to coworkers and all of that. You mentioned your grandmama. It sounded to me that she was quite pivotal. And whether she knew it or not, or meant to be or not.
Right.
How do you feel about that? And how did you feel about it at the time?
You know, we had went through me and my brother had went through some separatist stuff. My mom was kind of dealing with her drugs, and my grandmother took us. So by the time I got to her, I was just relieved that I wasn't being bounced around. And so she provided such a beautiful atmosphere of a home. I mean, the house was immaculate. I mean, meals were fantastic. We sat at the dinner table until I was about 19 years old every night with that woman, just about. But she was the master marketer because me and my brother looked immaculate. Now that I think about it, my brother makes a joke. He says we were raised she was like an English nanny, drill sergeant. We always looked the part. When we were younger, right before 10, she would get us up in the morning, dress us up, right? Take us out for the day, take us back home, put on play clothes. Like we were those kids, right? So we had like 2 sets of outfits a day. We sat at the table. Herself, she worked in a housing project. She was a supervisor of all these men, right? She was. And it was because we lived in the projects and then we moved out of the projects to more like garden row houses because she was like, I'm not raising these kids here. And she was a woman who, like I said, supervised all these men. She can landscape and build you a counter. She can garden because we had a yard, and she would be very feminine. Like, you know, when we do like family things or church. So you have to understand as a gay man, I'm sitting here watching Superwoman.
Right.
I have never seen my grandmother call out of work, ever. Get sick, ever. I'm not saying she wasn't. I've never seen it.
Okay, right.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm watching this woman come and pull all these, go between masculine and feminine energy all the time. And she was a matriarch, not only for the family that lived there. It was me, my brother, her husband, and her youngest daughter and their husband, and her boyfriend at the time. That's now her husband. She was also for her sister and her sister's kids. So everybody kind of flung to her and to our home. She was the one who did the family dinners. And so I'm watching this and it made me feel rich. Do you understand? Like rich. Yeah. So she was huge influence on me.
My next question for you is rather profound, but I'm happy we had this segue into it because it's going to make your response even better, I think. Lashelle, what is your mission?
So beauty for me I was a kid that can always find beauty in everything because of where we came from. So you had to find it in the most ugliest of things. I adore it. And I love to see it on people, and I love what it can do for people, right? I know what it can do for people, not just aesthetically and just in their image. I know what it can do for their heart and their head. And I know how to facilitate that. And that's all I ever wanted to do. That's all I ever wanted to do was make you feel good and make you be inspired to do something else, right? To do whatever it is that you want to do. It wasn't until just recently, just this past year, that I really had to hone in when people asked me that question. And I had to say, well, I'm not just my career. Because I don't just do that in my career. I enjoy bringing people together. I enjoy bringing people closer to themselves in any way that I possibly can. And if that means that I have to sometimes open myself up so that they can feel safe to do that, to connect with themselves in the same way that I have, or I have to be uncomfortable about some things that has happened to me so they can feel safe to say, wow, I didn't know that. And how do I get to look at myself differently with compassion and love for themselves? That's what my mission is. In my business, I tend to focus on persons who don't normally get that all the time, i.e. men's skin health. It's men's skin health is so targeted. And I speak about this with different people on my particular YouTube channel. But the reason why I did men's skin health is because I was healing my own self as a man. And I saw that there was a renaissance happening around masculinity. right? And an evolution that's happening around masculinity. And how can I be of service in that? And most men find it a little difficult to be in touch with their emotions, as we know how we are conditioned, right? And self-care, capitalists, we're capitalistic. And to be capitalist, you have to be avoid all those things, right? You have to provide and you have to go out and hunt and kill. And I just knew that I wanted to bring this thing that I do in Skin to help men connect with themselves, to help them feel nurtured and seen in a way that they don't get in their normal relationships. And so that was one aspect of it. And then I learned how to do work with people with cancer and living with illnesses, and know that the work that I do can be their first point of contact to help them in their continuum care after treatment. So yeah, it's about helping people inspire them to better means of health and self, if that makes any sense.
Health and self.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. Regarding the recent elections, did the side you were not rooting for, allegedly, win? Do what you need to stay sane. We're gonna need you in a good frame of mind, because know that if the alleged election results had gone the other way, that side would have licked their wounds, then gathered to organize and fight again. So let's take a page out of their playbook. First, although your preferred candidates may have allegedly lost, there were many other great candidates who won. Find out who they are and why their wins are important. Next, go online to find ways you can strategize to elect more great officials, boycott certain companies, and make sure your voice is heard. We're going to need your voice. And lastly, please be kind to yourself and to others whose preferred candidate allegedly won. Develop a rapport with someone who might be able to help you understand and willing to let you help them understand some things as well. We're going to get through this. We might as well hold up some light to help guide the way. Otherwise, we'll all just be bumping into each other in the dark, and not in a good way. See you out there. So going on from what you just said, in what ways do you see your work on or with others as an extension of an individual's personal beauty?
It's the idea of the vulnerability of a man letting another man enter that space that most people, maybe himself, has never entered, right? Mm-hmm. It's the fact that he, through the work that I do and suggestions that I've given him, have connected with himself in a space that you see the light turn on in their eyes, right? There's a softness in their heart and there's an open-mindedness, and I know that by little things like when they come back, hey, Shell, or my favorite now with some of my clients who have never done skin health before and was sent by their wives, who've come to me clenched up, nervous, like what's happening here? And I know I don't take it personally. I just know it's something it's so much self-protection happening. When they come in and go, I couldn't wait to come here today. I'm ready to chill. I'm ready to relax. It has to do with me, yes, but it has nothing to do with me. Mm. And that for me is like, I'm like, that's all I want. Uh-huh. That's all I want. And I always ask, are you tired? Or you want to relax today? And I just start my work. So for me, it's seeing them let go a little bit of that self-protection in order to receive. That's it. And if I can facilitate that for an hour, I'm so happy. And if I can facilitate for that for someone who I know maybe is not getting it for themselves or have not had it before, even talking about it now makes my heart sing. I adore working with men. I absolutely do. Yeah.
I believe that the best practitioners, whether massage or barber or nails or what have you, the best practitioners infuse some element of their own personal aura or spirit into the work they do with other humans in order to achieve a greater result. And I definitely noticed that about you and your work. You talked about safety or helping people to achieve safety. And I thought about our safe moment when I was in your chair. It didn't take long because we're both, woo, the first
we met each other.
I mean, seriously, it really didn't take long because game recognized game. How do you accomplish this transference of safety? And then how do boundaries then come into play either during and or after treatment?
I'm going to answer the first question first.
Okay.
And then I'm going to kind of probably call myself out on the second piece.
Okay.
I've done a lot. I've been through a lot. I think a lot. And I don't have a problem talking to people about it. I don't feel ashamed about it. The second part of that is my fault. Still, I'm learning boundaries because I assume that you're okay with it.
Oh. Because not everybody
is.
All right.
I had to learn that. I'm learning that. But I've been lucky. I know how to read the room. Mm-hmm. And in my career, and especially since I've had my own business, the person to person, new people that have gotten to know me. You know, like I say, thank you, Grandma. She raised a gentleman. I know when to curb. I know how to tailor things, right? But I pretty much share me and what I'm going through, what's in my head at the time. I'm still working on boundaries because I have to now realize that everybody cannot always handle a lot of that sort of honesty. And what I'm talking about is when I share some of the things that are not so desirable or the things that I'm still working through, that my fears, like last year, I had such a crazy last year. I don't even know if you noticed it. I imploded. I was imploding. And what was happening was people who were coming in who knew me, I was imploding, like talking to them, like just trying to process what was going on with me. But it was coming off to them. They were receiving it very differently. You have to have a bit more discernment with how much you share with people. But that being said, I've been really lucky to have clients and people in my work who've received me just as I am and respect me because of that level of honesty. And not only honesty, openness about exactly where I am, because most people won't say the really ugly things about themselves. And I'll tell you that real fast about myself because I really want to change that. So in order for me to change that, as you know, I will release it.
Yeah.
You know? So I hope I answered that question.
You did. You're special. And here's why. You're special for so many reasons, but you're special because many people who work with others in therapeutic realms, they listen to their clients implode. They're there, you know. They're the sounding board. They're the, oh, girl, yeah, I don't know about that. Oh, girl, okay, you did. Yeah, they do that. You're more interactive, much more interactive. I have had sessions with Lashelle where I was doing all the talking and the throwing of the spaghetti on the wall and what should I do? And I don't know. And this is crazy. And I've had sessions with you where you were doing it and I was the sounding board. Does it evolve depending on whom you're with? Like,
of course. That being said, I have more clients than not that I can actually be myself with and talk with. But like I said, I read the room. Like there are clients, some days they want to talk and I want to listen, you know, because one of the real reasons why I really got into beauty, once I gotten past the fun, sexy part of it, was I really like people. Like I really like them.
Why?
Because you learn so much. You learn so much. And so, and this is probably a slight default or character of myself, where if I open up and throw myself on the sword about myself, then there's and we've had this conversation where you go, they'll open up in that way too. And sometimes some people just need to hear that, but so they can feel free, right? There's a sense of freedom when someone shares like that. It's not a method. It's just who I am.
BetterHelp is the largest therapy platform in the world, and it's 100% online. They change the way you approach your mental health and help you tackle life's challenges by providing accessible and affordable care. With BetterHelp, you can message a professional therapist anytime, anywhere. Go to betterhelp.com for more. Beauty. As queer culture, gay culture, in many ways prioritizes, glorifies youth and certain genres of aesthetics that are often adjacent to youth. What's your philosophy on aging as it pertains to beauty?
You know, I'm not the person who was ever like, I don't want to be a perpetual teenager.
Oh, me either.
I never wanted to stay super young. You know, even when I was younger, I dated older guys. Like, I just loved maturity, right? So thank you for asking this question, because I never had no one asked me this in that way. You know, pro-aging, that's the word.
Okay.
I love pro-aging. You know, there's so much beauty in pro-aging. When I was the kid that hung out with, who talked with the older ladies.
Me too. We know.
Do you know what I mean? So age for me, sometimes I couldn't wait to get a little older, right? Because the kids my age were not there. Do you understand?
Oh, yeah.
But in terms of beauty standards, I think there's so much beauty in age. I don't put those stipulations that our market and industry, which is now changing, has put on aging. I think it's a beautiful thing. I think it's a beautiful thing when done right and with respect and with the right products. Do you know what I mean? Because I think that people should make an effort for sure. I think aging doesn't necessarily have to be the makeup and the lipstick or even the skincare, but I do want you to come see me for skin. But it can also be about what you're putting in your head and in your heart and in your spiritual space, because that's sexier when you get older.
Absolutely.
And especially when it's matured. Well, I've noticed this, whether you are mature or not. When you get older, you cannot hide who you are. It's just kind of hard to sustain that, you know? And so if you're putting good things in or things that help elevate you, hopefully refine you in some way, that's sexy.
Well said. I like that.
That's the truth.
That's it. As you become older, it becomes more difficult to hide who you truly are. I definitely co-sign that. Now I'm in my 50s. It was hard for me to hide it when I was 12. But now, seriously, it's like, no, this is who I am. This is who it is. And if I am feeding the proper things into my body, into my soul, into my skin, all of those things, it's only going to be projected out even further as I age.
It's nothing
and more brightly.
It's nothing sexier than boundaries. As I get older, you know what's sexy to me? Like boundaries. I love seeing people with boundaries, especially men with boundaries, whether I'm sexually attracted to them or not. It's just a beautiful thing when you know exactly who you are and you make no qualms whether I agree with it or not. I just think something sexy about that, right? And I think it makes you look really attractive. It's a very admirable and attractive quality.
Are you on YouTube or TikTok? Then join me there. I'm new. My handle is @WouldBeTherapy. On YouTube and TikTok, I share parts of myself that you may not get to see on Still Here Bitch. Still 100, still keeping it real all day though. You'll get little pieces of advice that I've picked up over the years, including as recently as this morning. And you'll get to witness the random thoughts that swirl around my mind. I can't be the only one. So, if you've ever been on YouTube and TikTok, then you know how to get to @WouldBeTherapy. WouldBeTherapy. Would Be Therapy. So once again, shameless plug, Still Here Bitch is a podcast about relationships. Assuming that not all of your clients consider you as someone who just does their face. Relationship-wise, what have been some of the various roles that you've taken on for your clients while they're in your chair?
I think the relationships that I take on with my clients, to answer that question right blunt, I don't think they know what I'm taking on. I can tell you that when the massage part of the facial comes in is where I start to hone in on what they need. And let's talk about some of the men that I get, most of the men that are first timers. And I know what I'm thinking when I'm touching them. I'm thinking big brother. I'm thinking papa.
Okay.
Right? I'm thinking sometimes mom.
Okay.
I know what I'm doing. Like the touch is there. You know, just love on this brother. Just love on this man in a way where it's not sexual. It feels supportive.
Yeah.
And I want them to, when they're in my hands, I want them just I always go like, I always do this. I've done it to you. Where I take your head and go, let go. Right?
Yeah.
Let go. You can let go here. So if anything, a supporter, like I'm here. You may don't have that in this way when you get out into your home and your wife and your kids, but in this room is you and me. I'm cool. What you say here stays here, and you can be in here. So I'm taking on this role. I love nurturer because I love to do that. That's just who I am. And I don't mind it at all.
You know, there's a push now in mental health, especially in Black neighborhoods, Black and brown neighborhoods, to train barbers and beauticians in some modalities to help people in communities who don't, who see therapy as like, oh, that's white folks stuff, or I need to take it to Jesus. Where do Black and brown people go in order to feel better? They go to places that make them feel more beautiful, or they go to church, one of those, two things. And I love the fact that this new push, this new movement is going on. I think it's just a natural progression for it to move into skincare professionals as well. Have you been approached because I feel like you'd be the
We already do it. I mean,
yeah, you're already doing it.
I used to go out to barbers. So let me give you a little history about the barber shop, whether you know it or not. So slaves were the first barber owners. Mm-hmm. Did you know that?
No.
Okay. So when the slaves were freed, they were able to get businesses, and their businesses were barbershops. Mm-hmm. We are the ones who invented sort of customer services, and then the affluent, the owners, slave owners, and the affluent people will go see them. Mm-hmm. So let's start there. In the 30s and 40s, in the Black barbershops, you had the dentist, you had a manicurist, you had a facialist. Mm-hmm. Everything was already in the Black barber in the 30s and 40s. So everything that you're telling me now had already been. Mm-hmm. Doctors, they will all go there. Everything was already there. So I love hearing this. This is where we're going. And in our community, we only understand the outward aesthetic first. I mean, i.e., my grandmother, thank God she did go to church and she has some structure. So she gave me that. But it was, we look good. That's what we understood. Mm-hmm. That's why one of the reasons why I connected with this work and started to bring it to men in recovery. Right?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Before I got my own place, I was testing this model out everywhere. Mm-hmm. Like, it's more than just superficial, but I understand that people understand what they look like before they understand what they feel like. That used to help me.
Preach.
When I was out in the streets doing, God knows when, and dreaming of a bigger life, the only thing that made it possible for me to be connected to that life was let me get the outfit, make sure the hair looks good. Right?
Yes.
Let me smell good. Mm-hmm. And I would walk and I would go out to like Fifth Avenue and hang out in New York, Upper East Side. They didn't know that I didn't have money because I felt like I looked the part. Yeah. So to come in from that connection makes sense, especially for our community, because that's what we understand. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, that we understand things that are more material than more mental. But I think that's changing more so. And I'm glad it's changing because in order for our communities to really build the economic wealth that we're looking for, we will have to start healing mentally and spiritually.
Do you think that change is happening because of or despite social media influence?
I think it's a little bit of both. Okay. Two things could be happening at the same time, but it's happening. Thank God it's happening. And it's teetering, right? It's, I didn't know we was going to come here, but here. So let me just do a disclaimer. This is just my opinions.
Yes.
And this is just what I'm feeling and thinking. And let's just talk about the Black community on that alone. We've seen that the systems that have been put in place are what they are, and they may not change. That's not going to change. It's like being in a relationship with a narcissistic husband who keeps beating your ass, and you keep thinking that every time he stops, you ask him to stop and give you a little breathing room. We're in this relationship with, let's say, just say America, but it's international how they see us, right? Mm-hmm. And you keep thinking that this husband's going to change, but he's going to keep beating your ass. And because he gives you flowers and he takes you out to dinner, baby, I'm never going to do this again. And let me give you a nicer house. He's still going to whoop your ass.
If you ask me, that's part of the abuse.
Okay. So, but now I think like any bad relationship, after a while, you start begging for them to change and realizing that you have to change yourself. Mm-hmm. That's been a slow progression for us, but it's actually happening. And it's happening because mental health is being looked at very differently in our communities. And what I'm very proud about is I see a lot of Black men, especially Black men under 35. Yeah. Those brothers are not playing. Mm-hmm. They are taking better care of their families. They're taking better care of their finances, and they're taking better care of their heart and health. They are realizing, like, we're not waiting for you to give us anything. We already know who you are. It's time for us to take care of ourselves. But in order for the structural stuff to happen, the mental and the heart and the spiritual stuff must happen first.
Yeah. Speaking of 35 and under, even though Still Here Bitch is about folks over 40, my sincere hope is that younger individuals also tune in to get tips on how to prepare for their futures or how not to. Each episode, I ask my guest, Lashelle, knowing what you've learned so far, what relationship advice? Now, relationship could be dating, family, work, people in general, whatever. What relationship advice would you give your 25-year-old self today?
I think I would have said, first, stop hiding. I was hiding a lot. I was too scared to be myself. You know, I was too scared to be, it's a very different time, you know, very different culture. I was scared to be feminine because that wasn't looked at as desirably sexy. The black fag, the black sissy was not sexy.
Yeah.
If you wasn't this butch, yo, what's up, bro? Men affirming their own masculinity. We weren't sexy. We were DL'd. We were, you know, after 12 o'clock, you know, that's what we were, you know? And I was scared and I didn't think I was desirable and I didn't think that I was attractive. And I was just so afraid to, so when I had boyfriends, I would hide a lot, protect that person so I wouldn't be shamed. So I would tell that young person, like, you good the way you are. You know, you're good. I used to call her Miss Lashelle. Let Miss Lashelle out. Because I used to think it was going, you know, I was told by certain men that I was with, nobody wants to see that. You know, and I had an idea of the men I wanted. And so I had them and they had their own sort of like parameters. And I try to stay within those parameters. So no, it would be totally, oh God damn it. Like, I can't believe I would be talking about this. Like, I would just say to myself like that. And then I would also say to myself, be a little open-minded. Because just like that circle of abuse I was talking about, the same things that I was doing, that was being done to me, I was doing to other people. So I wasn't allowing myself to see other gay men. If you didn't fit a mold, so I scrubbed to be a feminine dude. So I needed him to be almost like a straight male, right? You know, we grew up in the 90s. So it was like, you need to look like a man and I need to be you need to be this and I need to be that, right?
Yeah.
And I need to be in this role and you need to be in this role.
So that's what you wanted back then. What do you want now?
You know what's sexy now? Kindness. A man who's spiritually grounded, a man who is self-aware, a man who actually does the internal work, right? A self-supporting through his own contributions mentally, physically, and financially, because we need that, you know? But the other things are much more important to me. And someone who can self-reflect, strength, and sophistication. I love a sophistication, stylish man. And I'm not necessarily talking about the man who's like spending tons of money, because style to me is not about the Gucci and stuff like that. It's just a sophisticated mind and a stylish way about him.
So you know that in this moment, you're bringing your man to you, right?
Yeah.
You know it.
I hope so.
It's happening.
You hear him? Come on, baby.
Speaking from experience.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Welcome to Grindr. Grindr has grown into the largest social networking app for gay, bi, trans, and queer people. They have millions of daily users who use their location-based technology in almost every country in every corner of the planet. And they're still evolving. Today, Grindr proudly represents a modern LGBTQ lifestyle that's expanding into new platforms. From social issues to original content, they're continuing to blaze innovative paths with a meaningful impact for our community. At Grindr, they've created a safe space where you can discover, navigate, and get 0 feet away from the queer world around you. Grindr, keep connecting.
Give me one major issue you feel that affects LGBTQ plus people's dating and sex lives after 40, and how can we get over that?
After 40 in our generation, or just period?
Period.
I think we got to get out of our silos. It's back to that circle of abuse, right? For the rights that we're asking, we don't give it to each other. We put each other into these categories. So we don't see each other as human beings. We see each other as twinks, roughnecks, beers, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you can't get out of that motion. But what I can also say is after 40, something happens where when you take what I just said and you've kind of built your relationships or built your ideals off of that, when you get 40, it becomes so shallow, right? And then you can't really find something more of substance because you don't even know how to engage in substance within your own self, right? Then you start to isolate, right? And then your life, for instance, I had to watch this with myself, right? I was slightly part of all of that, but I was more scared. You know, a lot of us are scared. Like, they're going to hurt me. They don't like me. I don't fit into those silos. So I kind of go on to my own self, you know. So what happens is you start to isolate, right? You really start to isolate out of the fear and out of the disappointment and out of sometimes the lack of awareness and out of frustration. Right. And your life becomes small. And then if after 40, you just be kind of stuck in your way and you don't want to move out of that way. And I think what I would say is just like, I think you need to, after 40, you have to make a conscious effort to really get out of your, especially men, because forget gay or not, men do this across the board. As we get older, our friendships become very shoot, because it's that intimate, emotional thing that we're not fostering with other people. So gay men are the same. And I think you have to make a conscious decision to step out of those comfort zones. Like this year, what did I do? I got into a dance contest just to get out of my comfort zone. I went zip lining. I did an art class. I put myself uncomfortably in so many different communities so I won't get stuck in the rut of just going home, going to work. I was doing that so much that I started smoking cigarettes and watching porn. I was lonely, you know? And I was like, well, this is my comfort zone, but I'm not comfortable. And then the idea of meeting other people feels a little uncomfortable. We get caught in these ruts, and men especially. This is why the work that I do and I will continue to do around men's using skin health as a beginning piece to connect with other people as ways to help men to be able to open those channels up across the board, but gay men especially.
I feel like as we age, we need to retain our curiosity in all things. And I know that's difficult when you're taught pick a lane, pick a side, black or white, male, female.
But life happens, you know, our energy level changes, you know. So these things are all part of it too. It's not just the fear and stuff that I was talking about. I kind of I don't want to be reductive to the other pieces that play a part in it. Like I run a business and I don't have the wherewithal to do the Friday nights out all the time or do dinners 4 nights a week. You know, I'm tired. I want to take my ass home, you know, but all these things take a part into why our social circles, if we're single, especially gay men, gets a little smaller. And, you know, and so we kind of go back to what's comfortable and what's easy. And we have to make a conscious effort to move out of our way.
So let's talk about sex and how it changes as you age. What changes with sex as we get older?
Okay. I think that's always situational, right? Well, first of all, I believe that 48 years old and 50 and up, you know, the libido mentally, like you listen, I've been with men older and they don't do so bad, right? But there is a part of the testosterone levels and things that change. And so there's an energy thing as well, too. But I think that men are definitely having sex over 50. I think the thing is back to, what are you looking for? I do my research, if you know what I mean. And I see a lot of older, younger, which I'm fairly kind of happy about.
Yeah.
I'm looking at older men who I would have never looked at on the street. I think there was a myth that's definitely changing. And I think the funny part of the change is happening is because of what our younger gays have been standing up for within themselves that has allowed other people to kind of like say, no more ageism, screw you. I'm sexy, I'm older, I'm going to do what I need to do. And you have to also keep in mind our generation too. We're Generation X. Like we're like the kids from the 60s. You know, they were like rock and roll kids. When they got to the 80s and 90s, they were like still like, fuck you. We're the same. We're not going to age out in our 60s and 70s like our grandparents. We're just not going to do that.
Yeah.
And so I'm starting to see, and I want people to know people are having sex over 40, honey. They're having sex over 50 and they're doing good. But here's the other piece. I think the difference is hopefully, or at least for me, I'll say for me, I'm looking for more intimacy. So instead of just, for instance, just casual, physical, animal, bang, 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 I need more sensual touch, talk, right? Connection. We may not be dating, right? But those things I look for, because honestly, sometimes I don't have the physical energy to take on anything else, right? And for me, I'm fully fulfilled. I like to think that most men in their 50s and up are feeling somewhat wanting an intimate connection. But like I said, it's so situational, I can't even really make that comment. Because I know some older dudes who just want to come over and bang out and leave, right? And they can do it. So to dispel that myth, people are having sex over 50. It's changing for sure. It's definitely changing.
Thank you. Tell us about your socials.
Because
it's the holidays.
It's the holidays.
And I cannot think of a better gift, y'all. A better gift for your person or your people. So
you definitely have to come down to my space in Beverly Hills, Cannon. It's a boutique suite, and I do services there at 338 North Cannon Drive. You can find me at LashelleUllie.com. I also have a YouTube channel that I just started too. I'm like 3 months in, Conversations with Lashelle, and you can follow me on Lashelle Ullie on YouTube and Lashelle_men on Instagram.
Lashelle, thank you so much for being on Still Here, Bitch.
Gerry.
Thank you for being my guest. Everybody.
This is great what you're doing.
Thank you. Thank you for tuning in to the show. Happy holidays to you. As I like to say at the end of every show, go out and get you some joy.
Thanks for tuning in to Still Here, Bitch. Remember to follow us on the socials. Please like and subscribe or get somebody to show you how. And we'll see you next time on Still Here, Bitch.